The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Baseball season is right around the corner. The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast and SeatGeek are on a 30-day tour with fans from around the major leagues. Listen in as we talk about where to get a bite or a beverage pre- and post-game, best places to sit at every ballpark, favorite food, favorite players, and favorite moments from all 30 stadiums from around the big leagues. It's the 1420 Fan Experience Ballpark Tour, brought to you by SeatGeek. Let's get into it. Allowed and how that it's the NFL, it's the National Football League, a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Why I
and
made
that's
fun of
the
that
field.
situation as much as I did is you have a field that is retractable that can go outside
in the desert.
So why don't you make an actual field and no, we're gonna go with synthetic grass. Gotcha.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense the way that all turned out.
I agree, because the conversation started earlier in the year about how you know these owners and they get paid billions of dollars that these players should be playing on grass only, and I agree with it.
Yeah,
and that's in any sport that's played on grass, soccer, football, whatever.
Make it league wide.
Baseball too. I don't want to see synthetic fields. Are you kidding me?
I totally agree.
Like we dealt with this with Philadelphia Veterans Stadium. It was literally the worst turf stadium in pro sports. There was a reason for it. Hell, I vividly remember the Ravens game that got canceled because Brian Billick said, "I'm not putting my players on that field. Have a nice day."
That's crazy. It's actually crazy that was allowed for so many years.
Literally, you see it. I don't care if we're talking baseball or whatever. There should be grass field. You guys take too much money from the consumer, from your state, etc., to not have this done properly.
Yeah, the field shouldn't be a deciding factor in a match between two teams that are going.
I don't think the field was ever a deciding factor for the Super Bowl, but I don't think the field should have an effect on how the game is played.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't matter if we're talking football, if we're talking baseball, if we're talking soccer. The field should not affect the game. It should be the one thing that is a non-factor.
It's just here it is. You're playing. You should be able to play anywhere, and this is what you got, and this is what it is. Like no matter where that event's being taken place.
This is what corporate greed gets us.
There's a lot of corporate greed. It seems to be getting worse. Well, we won't talk about that a whole bunch. It does seem to be getting worse, especially across professional sports. You see, and the more I do this stuff, the more you're like, oh, okay, that's how that works. Oh, yeah, that's how that works. And you kind of,
I know. Well, like I said, like I've been doing this almost 10 years, probably about 10 years now.
Yeah. And
listen, there's corruption on every level. It's up to what you want to talk about, what you want to ignore, and who can do anything to change it. Sometimes it's a big no to all of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can bitch about what's going to change nothing. Yeah,
who's going to listen?
That's right.
You know,
favorite Philly of all time. Let's go when you were a kid. Let's go back to when you were between the
without a doubt
ages of 10 to
Michael
20.
Jack Schmidt was always my favorite, man. But I did have a love for Steve Carlton.
Yeah,
I'm a left-handed guy, so of course I love lefty.
Yeah,
you know, Schmidt and Carlton were probably one of the first few autographs I got as a kid. You know, I have a Schmidt and Carlton ball, and I have like a unique print on my wall that's signed by Schmidt.
Awesome.
So like, you know, those were all.
He always seemed like a class guy, like a class guy. He seemed.
Yeah, but it was one thing he had a love-hate. Him and Carlton had a love-hate relationship with the city of Philadelphia. I don't know if it was the media, because the media is another thing. Like just on top of, you know, we talk about how crazy just the fans are. Well, the media takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So don't know if that really played a factor into it, but like I said, as I got into the 90s, you know, Schmidt, Carlton are gone. You know, it became the dude. Everyone loved Dykstra, but you know, Darren Dalton again, another left-handed guy.
Yeah.
Always had love for him. Was fortunate, was able to meet him, you know, before, you know, brain cancer, you know, had taken him from us and things of that nature. Was able to like meet him with my daughter when she was like 2 or 3 years old. Was able to get a picture together before all that. There's a lot of fun guys, and then like I said, you get into that those early 2000 teams, man. They're so, Jimmy Rollins was obviously on the back end of that, but like some rough times in there. Kurt Schilling was a fun guy to watch play here for some time, but then he left, and then the whole Scott Rowland thing, and I know he just went into the Hall of Fame, and I know some fans are still on the wall, but listen, he said something this past week that he wouldn't trade his time in Philadelphia for anything because it taught him how to be a man, it taught him how to be a player, taught him how to hustle, taught him how to be a pro. And regardless if we didn't get the overall outcome that we wanted from Scott or not, he was in an impossible position because he was the guy who was supposed to replace Mike Schmidt. And I think because
That's
of that,
tall order.
I think because of that, the Philadelphia media was ungodly, unruly with him and just did not give him an inch. And it just got to the point where he didn't want to be here anymore. I don't think it was the fans. I think it was the media. I think that's the common denominator that people really need to pay attention to when we're talking about Philadelphia. It's the media, not the fans.
Like, it's funny you mentioned that because like a football season, 17 games now. So there's 17 times plus a few practice sessions, media sessions. It's 17 games or 17 weeks, whatever it is. A baseball season is 162 times that these guys have a microphone in their face. And if things are going bad, it's daily where there's a microphone saying, what's wrong? And that would wear on a guy. There's no getting around it. No matter how much money you're making, you're still a human being. And your psyche's gonna take a bit of a beating because you don't lose your skill. You lose the stuff between the ears.
I think it's the biggest thing. The mental toughness in all of sports is so unreal, especially when you get to the professional level, because it's ratcheted up 200 times more. And then you even more so when you get into those higher pressure situations when we're talking about world championships and things of that nature. Yeah. So it's rough. And then like you were sitting there saying, with baseball players, it's even worse because it is ungodly long.
Yeah. I mean, it starts today and they're going to have a microphone in their face until at least October 1st. And that doesn't even include the playoffs. So you think how long that's going to be going on? And you'd be like, I just want to go for a beer or whatever. Like, it's crazy how people forget about that. These guys are human beings. And yes, they do have media coaches and everything else now and mental strength and all that. It's a lot different now than it was 20 years ago. But yeah, it's tough. Prediction.
Now you're talking about favorites. So I got something for you. I got
go ahead. For you. I like stories.
So who do you think is probably the most beloved guy from that 08 run on? Probably what? Shane Victorino?
Yeah, the Hawaiian, what do they call him? The Hawaiian not nightmare, but yeah.
So obviously, there is going somewhere. He's the guy I probably wouldn't care if I ever met him again. Would never reach out to him to have a conversation, nothing. So it was at one of those, big signings or whatever. My daughter was the only person she wanted to meet. Mm-hmm. Paid for the autograph, whatever. He couldn't even take 10 seconds to lift up his head and say hi.
Unbelievable.
Because he was too busy on his phone.
Even worse.
Then I heard a story that he's a womanizer, that he's a real POS. Like there's PJ Willahans that's kind of attached to the backside of the stadium, that he would always be unprofessional with the servers and things like that. And things of that nature. Not a completely surprising thing to hear from a professional baseball player, consider how much they travel and things of that nature. Yeah. But it's like one of these things where a lot of people in the city kind of hold him to a high standard because of a lot of the stuff he does, and he should be. But we should ultimately judge the man on who the man is himself, not just on what he does to give back.
100%.
So one of those things where love what some of the things that he's done for the city, but don't really care for him because obviously the personal thing with my daughter goes and pays for a thing and he couldn't even give her 10 seconds.
And that's the thing. Like it's not like, I mean, the $15 or $20, whatever it is, or whatever a ticket like that. I
think that one was $45.
$45, and then you buy your ticket to the game 3 times a year, 4 times a year, whatever. It's the owners that make the money from the network deals and everything else that pays their salary. But if people weren't watching, they wouldn't be on television. So a lot of these pro athletes, I think they lose touch on that a little bit. Most are great, but there's the odd one, and you go, That guy is such a douche nozzle. I can't. I'm good. There's a lot that you go, why? Like it's why act like that? And it's not like he was inconvenienced. He signed up to do it, right? So he knew
Yeah, so like
he knew he had to be away
I've
for an
seen those
hour from whatever.
situations where guys are walking in and out of places and they completely blow off these kids. You know, people are like, "Oh, that's they get mobbed outside of stadiums, outside of restaurants, et cetera. And sometimes they just want to go do what they want to do. So I don't completely diss that, but it's like one of these things where, like you seen, I think there was videos over the past few months of Russell Westbrook, you know,
Yeah,
the former Laker, just blowing off some kids who trying to have some autographs signed. Well, he was on his way out, and the media's already running them out of town, so they're running them down even more.
it's
But it's not like he is. That's not like these guys are these kids that went to like a spending time outside of practice and or they're at a game or etc. That's on his free time. So I try to hold that with a grain of salt when I go to judging the character of the person,
yeah.
because you can't always expect these guys to sign whoever shows up. That's not expected. But like you were sitting there saying, when you're going to an actual event, like, dude, take the freaking 5 minutes to, hey, give, look up,
I
hey, what's up? Give him, and he gave her a high five, but he was like, hey, what's up? He
yeah.
spent more. I'm taking a picture. I'm taking a picture of the bottom of top of his head.
That's a bad look. That is such a
So it's
bad
like,
look. Yeah.
it's one of those things like, don't know exactly what was going on. Maybe it was something really important, whatever, but maybe it's something you could have waited 15 minutes till the signing period was over, because they
Yeah.
normally don't spend more than 20, 30 minutes doing it.
At $45, $45, right? Like here, like it's crazy. Yeah. Prediction for this season for your Philadelphia Phillies. What do you got?
Short of 100 wins, I hope they win the division. Like you said, it's rough, man. You got Atlanta, who's always tough, and you're just 2 years removed from a World Series,
Yeah.
and a Mets team that's retooled. They have a Jason Verlander. They have a solid core guys over there. You don't know what you're gonna get from the Mets, but the one thing you can count on the Mets is they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot.
Mets are gonna Met no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. The Mets are gonna Met.
Yeah.
I was more worried and have been more worried about Atlanta over the last. They're young, they're tough. Acuna Jr. is probably one of the best right fielders in baseball. That's under the age of 30.
Yeah. No, somehow
So,
they just retool every year too. It's crazy how they can just
well,
year
I
in,
mean,
year out,
you
somehow
also
they just
do
put them
that
together.
by good drafting, by
And they're getting
building
Soroka back
through
from
your
his
farm
Tommy
system.
John and everything else. And yeah,
Which you go and look at Philadelphia, that has been their biggest problem over the last 30 years, is being able to develop talent. Literally, that's why that late 2000 team became so, because they did get guys. And not only that they also got really good at yanking guys out of other teams' farm systems that they didn't protect on Rule 5 and turn them into players. Jason Worth, the aforementioned Shane Victorino, guys like that were brought in to make the core of that team. And then it didn't help that it also helped that you drafted a Ryan Howard, that you drafted a Chase Utley, that you drafted these guys. Everyone forgets about Carlos Rodriguez too, who's arguably the guy that made that team go. He was the catcher. He was their captain.
Mhm.
He ran the pitching staff. He ran that team. That he may have not have been the most prolific guy on that team, but Carlos Ruiz was one of the big reasons why those teams became who they were. But
uh,
it's all around building that team through your farm system. The Phillies haven't been able to do it. They had to bring Bryce Harper in. You have to bring Trey Turner in. Kyle Schwarber. Nola's the only guy that they've really drafted. Scott Kingery is now getting a third shot. He's probably not going to get it. Bryson Stott and Alec Ballmer looking like they could produce into being all-stars, maybe superstars. You don't know just yet. So you have to hit the drafts in order to build your team for runs. Yes, you do have to bring guys in via trade, via free agency, just like any other sport. But it all starts with your team, your front office, your scouts, building yourself a team for the future.
100%. Like everybody always talks about how much money the Yankees spent over the years, and when they
Can
were
you imagine if they didn't spend the money on wasted, like the insane payrolls they had, and they only wound up getting what, 2-3 championships out of it?
and that's what people always say. They bought World Series. When Steinbrenner was really
Yeah.
spending money, they weren't winning a whole bunch.
The early '90s, I would
Yeah.
say that was the happen because it was like kind of the real big bang after free agency really kind of made a real impact with baseball, and yeah, he did buy one. You bring in
The
Roger
2009
Clemens.
team, they bought that 2009 one. There's no doubt about that. Bringing in Sabathia, and who was the Burnett and AJ Burnett pitching there, and Teixeira, they bought that one. There's no doubt about that. But like you said, built through the draft. The core four, they were all drafted and developed guys. But this is a Yankee show,
you had
right?
Bernie, you had Jeter, and you had Rivera. Those were
Posada was there,
backbones
right?
of that. Jorge too, man. Let's not forget about
So
that.
They're all draft and developed guys, and so you can go and spend on the back end if you have draft and developed guys here and spending a whole bunch of money on.
That's what you're supposed to do with it, anyways. You're supposed to build off them, get them in try to get them in long contracts early, so you don't have to pay them $20-30 million a year until after they're the age of 30, and then maybe you don't, and you just let them walk.
Let them walk. I mean, it's hard to believe that's 27 years ago. That first one in '96, man, that's a long time ago. Let's do some extra innings, some quick ones. Ready to go? Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Day games or night games?
Night games. Fuck the sun.
There you go. How old is too old to bring your glove to a ball game to catch a foul ball or a home run?
No age.
No age.
Man, they putting netting up around the line, the lines of first and second base tells you enough. There should be no age limit to the point
Bring your glove,
bringing a glove to the game.
You might not catch it, but you might knock it down. You might knock it down. It won't hurt your hand.
You want to get stung with a line drive like that? I don't know, man.
No, it
Catching
hurts.
a baseball hurts.
It hurts a lot. Best cheesesteaks in Philadelphia?
Never go to Pat's and Geno's. I'm going to repeat it again. They are tourist attractions. Stay away. People who come from outside always go to Pat and Geno's.
That's the ones you see on TV all the time, yeah.
This is a colossal mistake. They are terrible. The meat is terrible. The cheese is terrible. The best thing about Philadelphia cheesesteaks has nothing to do with the cheese. Has nothing to do with the steaks. It's the rolls. They will always be the rolls. And with that being said, it's Steve Prince of Steaks for me, but a lot of people like D'Alessandro's. A lot of people like Tony Luke's. Tony Luke's has gotten a little commercial since he blew up over, when what was it? When he did the Invincible movie? I think that's what it was.
Right,
yeah. So like Tony's a good dude. Tony Luke is a good dude, but he did get a little commercial. But that's what happens when you really blow up to that point. Like the business doesn't become your business anymore. It's like almost like a side thing, and things do fall off. Tony Luke's is up there, but Steve Prince of Steaks, man.
Steve Prince of Steaks. I'm going to write that down and make sure when I'm in Philadelphia.
There's two of them. There's one all the way up in the Northeast by me. There's one, I think, like another 5 to 10 miles from that, but it's not around the stadiums.
Okay, I got you 100%. I'm with you. Have you ever ran the quote unquote rocky stairs?
Ran the stairs. No one in Philadelphia does that.
I know. I
don't know why that's a thing. No one does that. I don't care if you're 5 years old, you just found out about rock. No one in Philadelphia does that. That is a tourist thing. It's the same thing of why do fans go and put their sports gear on Rocky? No one cares about the Rocky statue.
I love it.
No one cares. It's been moved 3 times. You think we care about it?
No, I wouldn't think so.
It's something that the world knows that makes Philadelphia a special place. Sylvester Stallone in the Rocky movie. The only reason it's there is the prop was made and it was too damn heavy and they didn't want to pay to move it.
Just leave it. It ain't hurting nobody. Leave it here.
For that.
Leave it here. Let the pigeons nest on it. Who cares?
I want to know why is everyone so obsessed with the Rocky statue?
I don't know. I just thought
I love Rocky. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Rocky it's one of the big things of Philadelphia. It's one of the lore. It's developed into a spinoff. We're 2 weeks away from Creed 3.
Yeah. Rocky 2 is still my favorite movie of all time. Rocky 2. That to me, that one's the best one.
I'm torn, man. Like, listen, I love the early ones. Rocky Four is something special, man. That's like the soundtrack
Oh yeah,
of every man.
all the
That
Survivor
is.
songs that are on that. Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
man, No Easy Way Out.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
That's another fun one. But Rocky Five was also fun. I have an affinity for Tommy Gunn. I think more people need to learn what really happened to Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, I read your stuff on that a lot. And it's
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
I listen in, and yeah.
listen. When we talk about corruption, there's another one right there.
Well,
Everyone
maybe
needs to go.
we'll get
go and
together
find
later
out
on. We'll have another discussion with us in the coming weeks to come because a little
Yeah,
bit of a downtime here. Last one. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
absolutely. That's not even a question. At this point in time, you're keeping him out despite yourself. You're cutting your nose off to spite your face for absolutely
Yeah,
no reason. Sports betting is what in the modern world now. It is an
everything.
acceptable freaking thing. We can debate all we want about him trying to him betting. The fact that he was betting on his team to win for the longest time is beyond me. We don't know for an 1,000% fact that he wasn't playing both sides. You don't know that, and my thing is, you look at most of it. We're sitting there seeing guys right now in this day and age, being punished for the same thing. We just watched Calvin Ridley sit out a year of NFL football for betting on his own team to win. We just watched an NBA coach lose his job for betting on his own team to win. When are we going to stop being this ridiculous with betting?
And then take money from whoever, Bet US or
that's
Bet 365 or this or that.
You can't have it both ways.
Or
you
DraftKings.
cannot have it both ways.
The money.
What I think they should do is, if these guys do want to bet, have a broker for the league, for the FBI or whatever, that they have to go to.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
I mean, otherwise they're gonna find Uncle Johnny here. Yo, go put 2K on. Put 2K on the Knicks tonight. We gonna win.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't have to have these situations where they're doing illegal stuff when it's a legal thing in our country now. It is an acceptable thing in sports. They bet on just about every aspect of it. NFL took it to a whole nother level because you have prop betting on who scores what, when, where. Like, it's
Yeah. And
it has evolved to the point. The fact that we're sitting here talking about Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame for this is utterly sickening. It's almost as ugly as them sitting there holding these freaking baseball players out for steroids when they were freaking complicit in it.
Yeah.
The MLB was 100% complicit in it. Oh, this is what we need to save baseball. Juice it to the gills, guys. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. They found out about it. Oh, we have to bury these guys. So guys like McGuire, like Palmeiro, like Sosa, like Bonds. You're trying to tell me these guys weren't Hall of Famers before that?
Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are two of the best baseball players of all time.
You're out of your mind.
It's ridiculous to me. This old boys club and old rules and everything else.
Right now, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame is the biggest joke in pro sports.
100%.
There should be absolutely no one outside of baseball veterans voting for who's supposed to be in or out. The fact that you still have writers involved in that is sickening, disgusting, and it needs to be taken care of.
Because writers, you have writers, a lot of writers. I'm glad you got on that. And we'll end it here. But how writers, there's some that don't even put a guy on. They submit empty ballots. Then why have a vote, man? Like, why? Like,
if you're going to have an empty ballot, take him off. He's out. No one should ever. There should never be a Hall of Fame class that has less than a handful of people. There's too many guys, past, present, and let's even throw Negro League in there because that has to be done too, which is done on a regular basis now anyways. The fact that you don't have 5 inductees each year is sickening. Whoever's not voting, not putting people on their ballots, get them the frick out.
How do players get better? Like, this is good. Like, how do players end up getting better? If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer in year one when you're eligible. Put in 10. Like, just put them all. You don't get better over time. In fact, people lose their memories and the guys actually get worse. So how a guy becomes a Hall of Famer in year 10
really
and it wasn't in year 1? That's ridiculous.
Right? So Alomar gets in, right? So why is Dick Allen not in? Is he not? is he not the mold of what Roberto Alomar is in during his era?
Yeah. I don't get it. Like the Hall
Like
of
we have
Fame's
and we could talk about this with baseball. Football is just as bad, but they at least put a handful of guys in each year, both from your current class to even your senior committee.
yeah.
So I think they have a fairly good process on it. I think that like you still have egregious cases like you just had Darrell Revis go in. Well, what about Asante Samuel? Asante Samuel has more interceptions than him. And did he not win multiple rings?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame in every sport. It's absolutely ridiculous how they try to
I think
justify it.
you should have a small percentage of writers who are senior writers that don't have any afflictions with what. Like if you have writers that are
If you have
sitting there
national
controlling,
writers and not regional writers, because how some guys get voted in or get a vote. Like I don't even know that guy even played baseball. Like it's odd how they do it all. And it's in news. We could talk about that for hours and hours. Steve, thanks for doing this. Thanks a ton, man. It was a lot of fun. Stop number 4 on the Baseball World Tour. I thank you very much for doing this, man.
always a pleasure, man.
What do you got? What do you got going on in your world, in the belly up world and everything else? What's happening?
As soon as I get off of here, I'm going to be talking to Josh Watson. He just knocked out Greg Hardy on the latest Knucklemania 3. This coming week I got a couple guys on. I'm looking to actually interview UFC fighter Miranda Maverick's younger sister, who has just started her amateur career earlier last year. So I literally talk to everyone from UFC fighters to the amateur. Like I have this thing, man. Everyone has a story. We all need to hear it. We're all like onions, man. We are layers. We just need help pulling them back and people getting the stories out of us. You have a story. I have a story. Everyone has a story. We all need to hear it. We all need to consume it in some way, shape, or form. That's why podcasts have become as popular as it is, just because everyone has a voice, everyone has a unique thing, a unique experience, a unique way of looking at life, whatever. Everything is special from your basic entertainment to your pro sports to whatever. There's a niche, there's a place for everything in every one of us. As far as what we're doing moving forward, this is something you guys should be having fun with. I'm getting ready to, with Belly Up, I don't know if you've seen it, launch a sports card grading memorabilia type show.
That's actually, I got a buddy who's deep into that, so that's something I could probably get him on with you guys.
A card grading company reached out to me at the end of towards the end of last year, and wanted to kind of get more involved in the thing, get out there more. So we're going to do some sports card stuff. We're going to do some hobby stuff. We're going to be bringing all kinds of people on. We are going to have athletes on. We're going to be having a lot of fun with that stuff. We're also going to be doing live grading, live breaking. We're also going to be giving away signed memorabilia from some of the guys that are sending stuff in for us to have graded for our listeners, for our fans. We're doing a lot of big things over here at Belly Up Sports. It's only going to keep getting bigger, brother.
There we go. I got a buddy who's down at the Topps convention right now down in Arizona for he's a big baseball card guy, and he's
tell him to reach out to the grading authority, man. We're trying to help them get to that next level. I just see a lot of people like, oh, where are they on the PSA level of things? I'm like, they're just a new company. They haven't got.
It just starts. That's how it all works. Everybody was born one day, and you just grow, right?
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly.
Steve, like I said, once again, thank you for doing this, and we'll be in touch for later on the season. We'll see how the Phillies are doing. We'll do this again soon.
Definitely. Have a good one, my brother.
Thank you, sir.